Hello, friends, and happy Wednesday. Welcome to today's live level up conversation. Whether you're joining me live or joining me on replay, I'm so grateful to have you here. Happy Wednesday. Let's dive right in.
Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun. Market update. Speed round. Award-winning financial pro. And now, get ready. I present to you Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Hi, friends. I hope you're having a beautiful week. Welcome to the show. I'm Winnie, your host, an award winning financial pro, a Forbes contributor, and a CNBC council member and contributor. I'm so grateful to be joining with you live here. Let's let you know how the market's doing. Market hasn't closed yet. We're talking still about 35 minutes yet to go, but currently the Dow's in the positive, up 302 points. NASDAQ's up 235 points as well. And currently the S&P 500 is up about 57 points. And I want to say a big shout out, of course, welcome Joshua CrossX Fighter. I see you on YouTube live. And, thank you so much for so many of you joining me live today. It's great to be here with you. So let's talk about the market, if we will, right? So, investors keep watching to get a sense of where inflation's going and where interest rates will be and if things will get a little bit better. Well, there was an article, of course, that update that came out from Reuters today talking about the record-breaking performance that we're seeing yet again today on the level of Nasdaq and as well as the S&P 500. Now, some of the factors leading up to that are, of course, last month's April's Consumer Price Index, the CPI, which rose about 0.3%, which was a little bit less than the projected 0.4%, which was actually a good thing. Now, of course, the year over year increase was 3.4%. Now, this does kind of coincide with analyst forecasts, but core CPI, which excludes the things that you pay for in terms of food and energy, that though remains stable both on a monthly and annual basis. So the reason why this is important is because now investors are thinking that because inflation didn't increase as highly as people thought they would or even exceeded expectations, and therefore this might increase the likelihood of the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates possibly in September. If nothing else, increases the capability, the possibility of the rate cut. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to happen, but nonetheless, investors are feeling a little bit more positive this week, and therefore you're seeing some nice numbers in the financial markets across the board today. So, tech giants continue to see more on the upside. Many tech companies reporting earnings, of course. And so we'll see how it goes. But let's just say for today, so far, it's going pretty well. We're still over 30 minutes before the market closes, and it's probably going to close in the positive now, unless things change dramatically. But let's go on to another story. And this is one that I think you have been paying attention to. And it's certainly something that a lot of people have been talking about. Whether you follow tech news or political news, this almost has a little bit for everybody. And we're talking about TikTok. Now, what's happened there, right? So this was reported by the New York Times this week. Lauren Hirsch brings this, talking about how, well, a lot of people are interested in the future of TikTok. A lot of people are users of TikTok, but there's also people looking to possibly buy TikTok. In fact, one of those people, those individuals, is billionaire Frank McCourt. Frank McCourt has a very strategic bid on what he believes is a way to revolutionize not only social media via TikTok, maybe even have some impact and the TikToks that you make, but also he thinks he has a way to revolutionize internet privacy as well. So this was a story that came out this week. Now, Frank McCourt, for those of you who are not familiar, is a billionaire. Yes, yet another billionaire looking to buy another social media platform. Does that sound familiar? Possibly. Well, Frank McCourt has a history in real estate and sports management, and he's expressed an interest in purchasing the very, very popular video social media platform TikTok. And of course, this is in response to the recent U.S. legislature pressures being put on ByteDance, which, as you know, is the Chinese parent company of TikTok. And of course, the government's decision to having there needs to be, I guess they're saying, to divest its U.S. operations. Now, through this sort of 2021 initiative of Frank's called Project Liberty, McCourt actually has talked about how he wants to reshape how data, your data, my data, our personal data is managed here on the internet, and even proposing a brand new model that could completely change the way data is collected, how it's controlled, and of course, privacy considerations going forward, especially on platforms such as TikTok, which, as we know, that's one of the reasons why the government is saying that this company needs to divest itself. Now, of course, Frank McCourt is now, of course, engaging not only with his, I guess, his business colleagues, but he's also engaging with academics and technology critics, figuring out a way for this redesign of internet infrastructure to make sure that it protects user data privacy and, of course, continues to be in control of that as well. So, yes, Frank McCourt is interested in, of course, acquiring TikTok, and with or without its very pivotal video recommendation algorithm. So, that'll be interesting. I'm curious to see how you feel about that. How do you feel about another billionaire buying another social media platform, in this case, TikTok? Because I know many of you watching are big TikTok fans. You might even be making your own TikToks as we speak here. How do you feel about a, let's just say, another very wealthy billionaire who's, based on the photos I'm seeing, is a little bit older, right? And purchasing this huge social media platform. So I'm curious to see how you feel about it. But I think this is something that we should really follow and just see what happens to the future of TikTok, right? Big talk about national security concerns and all that stuff. Now, speaking of changes, let's talk about another one happening across the United States. In fact, in multiple states, multiple locations. For any of you seafood lovers out there, this is probably something that should be on your radar, because believe it or not, nearly 100 Red Lobster locations are going to suddenly close. That's right. This was actually reported on Nexstar this week by Jeremy Tanner. As of Tuesday, in fact, 90 Red Lobster locations in 27 states, including states such as Florida and New York and Illinois, have also all of a sudden abruptly just closed, leaving these local communities and officials completely by surprise. In fact, these closures have really a big impact, of course, because not only is it a restaurant that many people maybe like to visit, but think about all the employees that work at those various locations. So, to give you an example, one of the locations that they reference in the article is the Red Lobster in Danville, Illinois, which closed after 31 years, laying off the entire team, their employees, their entire staff, despite the fact that actually looked like a lot of people enjoy that restaurant. But unfortunately, that place has closed. So, for those of you who maybe have fond memories, I actually think that I might have like visited a Red Lobster back in high school when, after one of the dances, like homecoming or something like that. So, I mean, I do remember, I have fond memories of Red Lobster, and I know they have those like really great biscuits, right? But yes, owned by by the restaurant conglomerate Thai Union Group. I guess they were exploring the sale of its stake in the brand due to many pressures, including, the pandemic occurred. Many restaurants, suffered during the pandemic due to COVID, rising costs, inflation costs, employee costs, and all that. But yes, both Bloomberg and CNBC actually reported last month that they expected, and they were already listening to the fact that Red Lobster was contemplating bankruptcy, and they had actually already looked into restructuring advice to sort of manage their various labor costs and even their building leases on what they would do. So between 2021 and 2022, Red Lobster actually, in addition to having other financial concerns, they actually brought in brand new executives, including a new CEO and a CFO, and both of them left within 2 years, which is never a good thing. Not only are you suffering, but then you can't even keep the leadership that you probably took quite a bit of time to recruit. So nonetheless, there was many things that impacted, but one thing that really cost them a dear penny was, I guess, their promotion called the Ultimate Endless Shrimp. Now, I think I remember hearing about this in the news, and you might have already, but get this, the Ultimate Endless Shrimp promotion that they brought on contributed to significant financial loss in the area of $11 million of operating loss in the third quarter of 2023. So this was a significant factor in its recent financial struggle. So when you think about like smaller businesses, smaller restaurants, and you're like, we're small, so we can't do as much, and maybe we can't buy as much in such discount quantities. But just goes to show you that even larger companies, multiple store brands, big brands, suffer and can make very expensive financial decisions as well. So for those of you who are entrepreneurs out there, maybe running a smaller entity, just know it's not just you. Like this affects everybody. All right, speaking of changes, let's talk about another company and one that we've talked about on the show quite a bit. So recently, Uber has made some announcements that I want to share with you. They're talking about something called shuttle rides and caregiver features and even some Costco benefits. This was being shared by CNBC this week by Ashley Kabut and talking about the introduction of Uber Shuttle. Now, as someone like I actually just traveled last week to the East Coast, and let me just say, this would have been really, really convenient, in fact. So it's something called Uber Shuttle. So Uber has announced they're going to launch this new Uber Shuttle. They did this at their Go Get showcase. And so this is going to be, they say, a much more cost-effective alternative to your next trip to the airport, maybe to work, maybe to live events, such as they gave examples such as sporting events and like concerts, maybe your next Taylor Swift event. This is going to allow users like you and I to reserve seats on a particular shuttle with a commercial driver. So not just like, someone who is in your neighborhood who decides to all of a sudden drive with Uber. This will actually be a commercial driver. So they're saying this is going to be quite significant. And they're also introducing this thing called Uber Caregiver. Now, I really like this concept. I'll share with you why. Now, this is going to be the case. Like, let's say, for example, you're a caregiver of children or elderly parents or grandparents or just someone else that has a need for you to take care of them. Or maybe you're not even in the same city. Maybe you're in a different neighborhood, but of course, you're more tech friendly and perhaps a person that needs this service isn't. Well, this will now enable caregivers to manage transportation and also essential shopping for our dependents. Such as elderly family members, right? I don't know about you, but my mom, like, as she's very proficient in YouTube, but like she can't figure out the Uber or ride sharing apps for the life of her. So even I actually talked to her recently. She said she found something on Nordstrom Rack. She was really excited about ordering, but she didn't order on the app or the website. She decided to call them and provide her credit card number over the phone to order her pair of tennis shoes. So it just goes to show you that there is certainly a need because not everybody is natively tech friendly, right? So this feature is going to support sort of three-way communication. It'll allow communication to take place between the driver, the rider, who was probably the person that needs the caregiving, and of course caregivers, those of us who are then ordering these services. And it also integrates insurance benefits to help reduce costs, which I thought was really cool. I'm going to have to dig into that a little bit more because I think that's really helpful. But Uber users can now do that, right? So that's coming. The other thing I thought was pretty cool is for those of you who shop Costco, in fact, my husband is at Costco currently, getting our monthly run of Costco goods. But for those of you who are Costco shoppers, maybe sometimes you're just too busy. And you may have seen like they have like obviously Instacart delivery services, but maybe now looks like Uber Eats is going to be part of this as well. So Uber Eats now you can order from Costco. And there's even special discounts for Costco members, including, they are saying, a 15 to 20% savings for members and promotional discounts on Uber's subscription service, which is called Uber One. Now, I'm still curious to see how that's going to unfold because typically I've seen with Costco delivery with Instacart, you're talking, you can easily see the 15-20% as a surcharge of having your groceries or your items delivered. So how is that 15 to 20%? I feel like maybe that's just for the Uber One discounts. I don't know about that, but I'm not sure how that would really pan out. I imagine it would still be significantly more expensive than making the drive to the warehouse and picking up the item yourself. But I don't know that. I haven't tried it. We'll wait to see. But yes, Uber is rolling out many features for their users. And of course, now they're also saying you can um, reserve your shared ride reservations and help you possibly save 25% versus standard Uber X fares. Now, those of you who are in New York and here in Los Angeles area, we've already had that, but I guess it's coming to more cities across the United States. And they're also unveiling something called an Uber One discount for students. Now, this is going to be for students, I'm guessing mostly in college, but students, instead of paying $10 or $9.99 a month for Uber One, they're going to let students pay $4.99 or $5 per month for Uber One services. So I'm curious to see, for those of you joining me live, how many of you actually use Uber One? And how many of you feel like that is a good use of your resources? Do you find a value, or do you feel like more could come from that as well? It just seems like every large company, of course, wants us to pay on a monthly basis and put us on some sort of subscription plan so they can have recurring income and we can have recurring expenses. Yeah. So it's that. And I guess Uber Eats is also adding something called a list feature, so you can put off obviously your favorite restaurants and things like that. But yeah, so Uber wants more of your transportation and your restaurant eating budget as well. So there's that. That's what's coming. But of course, there's more news that I'll be sharing with you later this week. But let's take a look at the financial markets and give you a quick update. Markets closing in about 20 minutes here, but the Dow is currently up 309 points. The Nasdaq's up about 228 points, and the S&P 500 is also up over 57 points currently. It's green across the board. It looks great. In fact, let's hope that it continues. We're only at 20 minutes left to go for the day for the market, so I think it'll probably end up in the positive. But with that, speaking of positive, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe so you can stay updated on all the latest important business finance content. And of course, to watch full episodes of Level Up with Winnie Sun. Of course, you can check out previous episodes at NASDAQ. And you can check us out on Amazon Fire, Samsung, LG, Roku, and many other streaming platforms. And do me a favor when sharing an episode online, I know many of you do, don't forget to tag at Winnie Sun to show your support and so I can properly thank you on a future episode. A big shout out this week, once again, for Joshua. So appreciate you tuning in, of course, your support and sharing our show as well. And for even deeper dive into more different content, check out Yes Factor with Winnie Sun, which is a podcast on the Apple Podcast Network and the LinkedIn Podcast Network as well. Thank you so much, my friends, for being here. We'll be coming to you again this week. Let me know if you see anything that you think I should be paying attention and adding to this show. Of course, I'm available via direct message, and I love to hear from you. Be well, take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.